should check this out ahead of time.
Well, that's what happens, you always show up and raise the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like he could have talked to Cody to find out what happened with the court.
Yeah,
And then say, oh, okay, or
that's right.
that was a problem.
All right, guys, I'm back. Jim Mancini has left. Terry, our tax collector, I gave him the correspondence that I have. He's going to look it up and see if he can figure it out. And we may have an answer tonight. So we'll just continue to move on down the line here with the agenda. We'll revisit this if he has a answer to this. Next, we have number 4, Atlantic County Radio Network System Upgrades and Participation Renewal Agreement. Any discussion on this?
Yes, I talked with Jennifer tonight, and she would like to look into this. I had Jeff Corneau look at the letter and the information. I think they just want to renew us into the Atlantic County Radio Network system with some upgrades and a participation agreement. So this may just be a formality, but Jennifer said that she would want to talk to handle this and perhaps talk to council member or two to go over it. But if everything is satisfactory, then the mayor can go ahead and sign it. But it looks like it's more or less some type of annual formality, perhaps.
With council's pleasure. Does anybody have a position on it one way or another?
What do we have at risk?
Excuse me?
What do we have at risk?
Do we have any risk to this?
No, the county's going to take care of this regardless. I mean, they're saying here that there's issues with law enforcement, firefighting, EMS, et cetera, et cetera. The county's regional system is referred to as the Atlantic County Radio Network, and they provide infrastructure and governance to regional public safety, and it includes various communication towers, hardware, software, and support staff. The county is currently completing upgrades to the system of hardware and software to enhance the interoperability. And the above user, which would be us, is a user of the exiting ACRN system and desires to continue to use the system for apparently the newer system.
So is there a cost to us to upgrade to stay compatible with the system, with the network?
No, there's no cost in here.
We don't have to buy any new equipment or anything like that to fit into the new network?
Well, the fire company may have to, but as far as this agreement, there's nothing that we have to pay Atlantic County or do anything pertaining to this agreement.
But once they get this new network in place, they're probably going to shut down the old network and our equipment won't be any good in that neighborhood anyway, right?
That's probably what's going to happen because fire and EMS are going to a new radio frequency throughout New Jersey. So it's coming.
So that behooves us to go along with it.
We have to do
It
anything with it?
it doesn't address anything. My suggestion is to let Jen look at it and perhaps get back to us. But if there's no issues with it and they're just going to do upgrades, then I think we should go ahead and sign it, but let our consultant look at it first.
No, I like Jen's judgment. Let's hear what she has to say.
Okay, thank you.
I agree. I would like to hear what Mr. Clemental has to say.
Right.
Ms. Clemental.
Yes.
All right, so we'll just table this for the time being, and then we'll get a follow-up report from her.
But if she says it's okay to go, then you're saying it's okay for the mayor to sign it if everyone agrees to it. Because I don't want to hold it up. This came in September 2nd, so.
Yes.
I just don't want it to sit here for another month and nothing happen. That's all.
Yeah, I would say it's the spirit of council to concur with Jennifer's recommendation, whatever that is. You know what I mean?
Great, thank you.
Also, I think it would be prudent on our part to hear from our chief, see what he has to say about it too. So that, I mean, he's the one that's ultimately really going to be affected by it.
Well, Jen can contact him.
That's what I would say.
Right.
I think it's not really council's decision. I mean, the fire company is our public safety, our community. And they're the experts, if I can use that word, that know a lot more than what we know about the radio frequencies here. So I really would like to hear from the fire company and also from emergency management, for you to find out what they say. And I'm sure that they'll have their opinion and guide us properly as well as Jennifer will.
Well, I did show it to Jeff, and he did not have any opinion at the time, but he should take a second look. So we'll leave it up to Jen to talk to those guys.
Moving on down the line here,
So are we gonna table it then, because we're checking with other people, or not? We're not.
We're gonna, is Jennifer on the other line right now?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Jennifer. So if you heard what I said, could you check with Dan Collins and Jeff Cornu? I mean, we're going to get your analysis as to what you think, and maybe you can present that to them as well. They're the ones that are going to be affected from this the most, not the council. They're the ones that truly know what we need or what we don't need, or what's going on as far as any frequencies or broadbands are going to be going out or to become obsolete. So they're on top of this issue a lot more than any of us are.
Oh, absolutely.
I would highly recommend, Jennifer, that you should probably start with the chain of command. Danny is our chief. He probably would like to have some input on it, so that way there, at least we're all on the same page. I really think that's the proper way to go. Council, okay with that?
Sounds good to me.
Yes, no? All right.
Yes.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right.
Moving
Thank
on
you.
down the line, we have number 5. We have an email from Mr. Paul Castaldi on 20 Taylor Lane, Mays Landing, regarding the purchase of block S8, lot 3. Randy, we voted on this already a while back. This was supposed to have, I think we did an ordinance on it, or we were going to have an ordinance drafted on it, but this gentleman is looking to purchase this piece of property. And I think we discussed this back at the, may I say, the August meeting?
Yeah, he said it was already discussed.
Here's the challenge I have.
We're at $1,000 figure.
Okay.
So what do we need to do now at this point, Randy? He wants to purchase this property, but we haven't taken any initiative about, does not have to be done, don't we have to do an ordinance to move this forward, or just simply a resolution is sufficient?
Okay, let's go back. Which property are we talking about?
It's block S8, lot 3, also known as Route 50, and it previously was the Tharp property, and then it's changed hands, and this guy here has been working on his house diligently. He's been keeping the property maintained. He's got the grass cut at all times. He's fixing up the inside of it. It's the best of my knowledge that I understand he wants to move into the house and live there, and he may have an issue where he may have to do a little upgrade to his septic.
So he wants to buy property adjacent to his property?
Yes, yes.
The only property that abuts this?
I thought that we had already sent out a letter to both him and the Jason Aid. I'm not
Buddy?
sure that I sent a letter, and Mr. Aid has not responded that he was interested, and that's like 2 months ago. So, being that there was no, and Mr. Aid has even said to Mr. Castaldi that he's not interested in purchasing the property this time.
I mean, I think it's Adi, by the way. I know that family. But, so my question is, if we want to offer this property for sale, then we need to do an ordinance to do that.
That's what I thought, and we started to do the process with it, and then our previous city clerk moved on to another position in another municipality, and this kind of like just laid in limbo, but we were supposed to have started this process back in, I'm almost certain that we already voted on this at the August meeting.
May I say something?
Sure.
When we voted on it, if you look at the minutes from the meeting, when we voted on it, we voted on lot 1. This stipulates to lot 3. Which lot is it? How certain are we? I'm not against it. I'm just saying. I don't want to give them the wrong, we need to be correct in what we're doing.
Randy, do you happen to have any of the paperwork that you started on it?
No, because I didn't get paperwork to start with. I got nothing. What I need is, I mean, first of all, I assume this is an undersized lot, correct?
It's a micro, small piece of property, like maybe the size a little bit better than a postage stamp.
So it's not a buildable lot.
It's, without doubt, it's 25 by 75. It's even
Okay.
smaller yet than, the other property, but it's on Route 50, so I guess that's why it's a little more money than the one that's off, that we just spoke of previously, the Gonzalez.
We can sell this at a private sale. We need to establish a minimum price. And we need to do an ordinance. That's what we need to do. So, but I don't have any of the information. I never got any of the information on the lot. I need the block and lot information, and I need the publication expenses. I never got that from the city clerk.
No.
No.
So, moving forward here then, if the man wants to purchase this property, do we need to get, I would say maybe we should get clarification from the tax assessor?
No, I think we need information from the deputy clerk as to what the publication, you want to put the expenses into your ordinance so that you're not spending money to sell property. So I
Now,
need that. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please let Mr. Lappy.
What we need is, I need the information, I need lot and block, I need the publication expenses, and I can then prepare the ordinance. I've done dozens of them. It's very simple, and we can have that for the next meeting.
Mr. Dilge brought up a good point. I don't have the minutes in front of me, but he says he recalls seeing lot 1. But this here says lot 3. Although, Mr. Dilge, can I say this? I think lot 1 is actually the gentleman's house.
I'm just telling you what the minutes said.
He's already purchased 1, which would be lot number 2. Now he's looking to purchase number 3, and there's still yet one more parcel.
Who's on
No,
second?
it says Lot 1, Route 50, City of Estell Manor is the owner. That's properties in Block SE.
Says that's who wishes to make the purchase?
How about if I leave it like this, guys? This may be the simplest way to do it. How about if we make a motion to authorize our deputy clerk to contact Jim Mancini, our tax assessor, to be sure that all the properties that we're speaking of are the right lot and block numbers. We're second guessing ourselves right now, all of us are, including the solicitor. I think that the best way to move this forward is let Mr. Mallon contact Jim Mancini. We will be dead certain about the lot and block numbers, and we will also be dead certain about who are the adjacent landowners. And with that being said, I'm almost sure, I'm almost positive that the property in question is municipal property, and there's one other lot that's next to it, and that is municipal property as well. So this man here can proceed to move forward to purchase this particular one if what I'm saying is correct. Do you agree with that, Lafferty?
Well, I mean, what we can do is we can prepare the ordinance to offer, sure, that's what we can
But
do.
in able to prepare the ordinance properly, Randy, we have to be clearly certain about the lot and block number. There seems to be a shadow of question as to what is actually the lot number. We know what the block is, but we're not dead positive about the lot number.
Well, Joe, I'm looking up, I just did it, and it says properties in Block S8. And it has Lot 1, Route 50, City of Estell Manor, public property. For as far as Black Label Holdings, they have Lot 5. That's residential. Residential is Jason Aid. 21 is 15th Street. That's another vacant lot. And then the other public property of Estell Manor is Lot 20, Route 50. But they're the properties in Block S8.
Is it safe to say, Mrs. Sparks, that, and I don't have a copy of the map in front of me, but is it safe to say that there is Paul's property that he owns, and there's a house that's on it, and then the other one is two additional city lots? He owns his house and he owns another lot, and now there's two more lots that are out there, and he wants to purchase another one. So,
There are,
But there's Addie.
yeah, Audi owns the there are 2 residential, 2 vacant, and 2 public of the properties in block S.8.
okay, I'm gonna make a motion to authorize the deputy clerk to contact Jim Mancini to get all the proper information. And if it is strictly municipal property and there's no other contiguous landowner, and if it happens to be the city that owns that other lot, then we can move accordingly to have the ordinance prepared by the shop. That's my motion. Randy, if you want to consolidate what I just said, that's fine.
No, I mean, that's fine, Joe. Mayor.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dilch,
Yes.
Mr. Olson,
Yes.
Ms. Owens,
No.
Ms. Sparks,
Yes.
Mayor Vinesia.
Yes. Randy, just for clarification purposes, I went to high school for 4 years with the father. His name was Jamie Aid, and the teachers, everybody, all his last name was Aid. Somewhere along.
It's Addie. It's
somewhere
Addie.
along. Yeah, somewhere along the line, his name became Addie, but it's Aid, is what I always known.
What has that got to do with the business at hand? Can we move the meeting along?
Carrie is here, with
I got some great high
information,
school
by the way.
stories. You want to hear them?
I'm sorry to annoy you, Nelson. We have, Barry?
So I just kind of get some information.
We have.
So if this is what you're, yeah, I'm not 100% sure what you want. This is the highlighted area that you want to purchase. These green
Mr.
lots-
Lafferty?
These green lots are what?
All right, so the state owns that down there, the city owns there, the city owns there. There's only
Mr.
one property
Lafferty?
owner that owns
Yes,
lot
ma'am.
329.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. There was a pause.
Lot right across the street.
Sorry.
Property is owned by that person. Otherwise, the city around it.
It's city all around it.
With the exception here in the state.
So what we probably could do is, we can move forward tonight to, make up our minds what we could do with less than one property. It's contiguous landowner.
Well, again, that's just the only surrounding properties that we own, owner that's not property and not the current owner over here. Who owns that?
That would be Gonzalez. Right. This is Gonzalez property right here.
Right across the other side.
So all these yellow ones are what he's proposing to want to buy.
Right.
And all these green ones are city.
Well, no, I'm sorry. You know what? I was highlighting them. That city, that state, this section of the city, that right there is the only one that's green lots. It's not city.
These green lots,
Yeah, just circle that one. Yep.
so that's owned by a private individual.
And it says on note, once to give the city, that's the most will leave already.
Why don't we, I guess probably table it and get more information on it, and then we'll, I'll just, prepare for the meeting for November, what I would recommend. I don't want to second guess what we're doing here. I want to be clearly certain, and I want everything to be identified by lot and block number, and, contiguous landowners, so the council was all, up on board about what we're doing. So I make a motion to be,
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Terry,
Thanks,
appreciate it. Moving down the line here, we have ordinances, 02-2020, salary ordinance stating range adjustments.
Hold on. That's POTUS.
Could I have the name and address of that dog that wanted to chime into our meeting? I can put it in the minutes.
His name is POTUS, President of the United States.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, your dog is out of order. One more time, I'll have to have him removed. How's that sound? Everybody has a copy of the ordinance, the salary.
Mayor, I'd like to chime in if I may. When I was typing this and going through it, we met with Ms. Owen and Mayor Vanessa to look at some of this, to go over the prior ordinance that we have, because it had to be updated with a few things. So we talked about these ranges. I think I did tweak a couple of them just to allow more range in there. But the one thing that I did want to bring up to you, and I don't know how it has to be discussed, is the planning and zoning secretary, because you've asked me to, you approved $208 for a meeting. I went back to look to see what the previous secretary was getting, and it was $3,700 for the year. So I made the range of $3,200 to $4,000. But again, that's just, I'm just putting it out there as to what was done before. So I would need advice on that. And then I think that was just minor things that I was going back and forth with for the ranges.
The only one that I would like to see lowered some is the foreman's position in public works. I don't really like $30 an hour, to be quite honest with you. Very far few and in between towns that are paying that kind of money to anybody, and I just thought that $25 an hour.
It was 35 was the max on the other one.
I know, but that was never right in the first place. I actually just think it's $25 an hour.
Okay, so right now the person's earning $20, but with a 2.5% and raise, and we can talk about that with the resolution. It would be between 15 and 25, which would be enough to handle any increases in the next several years.
So wait a minute. So shouldn't we have talked about that when we were in the finance meeting about adjusting these fees, those figures then? Now is not the time to discuss this. If that's the case, then you and I need to meet again and to go over those figures again.
So I'm just simply bringing it out, Mrs. Owen, because I did mention that night that I thought $30 was a little high. So I would rather see it with 25. I mean, am I going to go home and sleep pretty good tonight if it's 30? Yes. I will sleep very well. I just thought that it would look better, and I think we would be showing that we could stand on top of the game a little better by trying to control our costs. That's it. I mean, they're part-time positions, and I'm not dissatisfied with anything what they're doing. I'm just trying to not have a repeat of what we had a couple of years ago.
Mr. Mayor, the time to discuss that amounts and stuff like that was at that meeting with you and I. If you're not in agreement with that, then you and I need to re-meet again and go over those figures and come to an agreement and then re-present it to the council.
I don't know when I'll have that up. Yeah, right now I'm buried way above my head with work. We'll just leave it alone then. Like I said, I will sleep very well. Doesn't matter to me one way or another.
All right, so we'll just hold this for now and then
Now,
present.
let's just vote on it.
Oh,
Let's just vote on it.
I don't see the planning zoning board secretary. You said that was going to be added in later, or?
well, that was the one, I changed that. Actually, I changed it tonight and resent an email out to you. But it says planning and zoning secretary per year, $3,200 to $4,000. Based on what was paid before. But again, if we're gonna talk about this again, we can have more of a discussion on it. I just don't want you to perhaps pass this and not have that position in there. Or if you wanna do something different, that's fine, but I forgot the position in the ordinance. That's what I'm getting at.
That's fine.
Well, my thought is on that if that figure is not correct, then the committee for the salary owns the finance committee needs to re-meet again on that. Because what you're
Right,
saying is, what we're paying you now doesn't fit within that salary, the amounts, between those amounts. So.
That is correct.
Right, so we can't do that. We have to fix that or it's not correct.
Right.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I think that historically what was sought to be done was to combine all of the compensation to a particular individual to satisfy getting to a magic number for all of the roles and responsibilities that that person had for the city. And given the kind of the customization of that for that person that was here in the past, what it's been historically really doesn't have any place in what we're doing going forward. So I would say probably leave it out for tonight. Go ahead and do the ordinance for that, and later we can add this position to the ordinance when the finance committee has come into agreement with what they wish to see there and they present it to the rest of us. And I would, as a kind of parting note, I would say it wouldn't bother me if the finance committee came back to us later and said the land use secretary should be salaried or compensated at $0 to $4,000 a year. That gives us a lot of flexibility in who does the job, how we pay them, et cetera, et cetera.
That's the only one there. I mean, we could pass, first off, that's not even on this current ordinance that we have. We can in fact pass the ordinance tonight. And we'll just simply insert it at a later time once we have it finalized as to what it's going to be.
What is that what is the sense of the finance committee? Give it to us, nutshell it one more time for us, please.
And let me tell you what my feelings are, and I think our solicitor could agree with what I'm going to say. We agreed last month, and I disagree, that the secretary is only going to be paid per meeting. Each month, he's going to be taking phone calls. If we don't have a meeting, he still has to notify the board members via email. He still has to put a publication in the paper. He's always going to be taking phone calls. People call all the time historically. They ask information like, well, can I do this? What do I need to do? How much does this cost? What are the parameters? There's always questions throughout the month that will come up. And if you're saying that he should only be paid for just coming to a meeting, but oh, by the way, you're the secretary, you're going to take all the other responsibilities that go along with it. I mean, that's basically asking somebody, we're not asking them, you're telling them you're going to work for free. And I'm clearly certain that if somebody was ever to file a complaint to the Department of Labor, I know exactly who would win that one.
Well, except that that's not what we said a month ago, Mayor. It's not even close to what we said a month ago. What we said a month ago, and I know because it was me who said it first.
$208 a meeting.
I said, I didn't interrupt you. Are you going to interrupt me? Because I'll wait. Let me know when you're done.
Mr. Dilch, I don't care for the tone that you have right now.
Are you
So
done?
just say what you have to say.
The overwhelming theme in compensating Mr. Moore for acting as land use secretary for an interim period was to give it a sunset at the end of the year, recognize simply that he might do a meeting or two, and act in a way that would get us beyond his tenure, his acting tenure as land use secretary, and on to someone that would do it for a longer period of time, because we've already, in my mind, and I think the majority of council's mind, we've already overburdened Mr. Moore, and we want to ease the burden as fast as we can. So our purpose in giving him compensation was to get us to where he's going to do a meeting or two, and by then we're going to have a land use secretary, because we thought at the time we might get lucky and assign a deputy clerk, thus easing some of the burden in City Hall so that we could focus on finding a land use secretary and even use the deputy clerk to help us find a land use secretary. And it feels like we're moving in that position, except for everything you just said.
Well, once again, my recollection is that they voted, council voted, and it was for $208 a meeting. And it doesn't say anything about a month. It says a meeting. Look at the
A
minutes.
meeting, that's right. A meeting or
Okay,
two.
so what about when there isn't a meeting, but he's still doing a lot of follow-up work?
I'd want to get out of the job as fast as I could if I were him, if that's what happens. I'd want to get out of that job. That's what I want Mr. Moore to do. I want him to get out of that job.